But there was another award that was handed out today that a lot of people thought Victor Wembanyama had a big argument for. And he did get the most second placed votes out of anybody in the voting, but he did not win Defensive Player of the Year. That was given to Rudy Gobert. And the timing of this for Spurs fans, Ethan, I'm not really going to dispute it. We talked about that. I mean, in my personal opinion, I think Victor is the Defensive Player of the Year. He's the best individual defender in the league. We've talked about this. But for those of you who maybe haven't heard, me and Ethan didn't really expect this to happen because we know that there are some politics to this award. And when you look at Minnesota's team defense, I'm about to get into the game last night and why that's kind of, a little bit of a tough pill from the Spurs fans' perspective. But at the same time, Minnesota's team defense, I think undoubtedly is the best in the league. At least we're seeing it in the playoffs right now. And that is a little bit of a team award whenever it comes to Defensive Player of the Year. I think you and I kind of both expected Rudy Gobert to win it, but also in our personal opinions, we both had Victor.
Yeah, 100%. Minnesota, what they've been able to do as a team is pretty remarkable this season. Rudy, obviously a big component of that, being the anchor, the guy down low that cleans up everything for the perimeter defenders. And when they traded for him, Minnesota was not known for defense. So for them to turn their identity around because of his involvement, I get it. I understand why he deserves it. He's won it 3 times before, so he's not a bad defensive player.
Right.
He is very well deserving. But again, to kind of go off of what you said personally, I think Victor Wembanyama deserved it more just because of his individual impact, not only as a rim protector but along the perimeter. I wish we had been able to track just the number of shots guys didn't take because of how close in proximity Victor was. It didn't matter where he was on the court. If he was basically within 15 feet of you, he affected your shot in some capacity. So because of and if you got to look at how bad we were without him on the court versus his net rating with him on the court was vastly different. So that's just me. But again, I'm not at all surprised, like you said.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that Rudy Gobert isn't deserving, but what I kind of opened up with and hinted at, Ethan, is something you just touched on the end there. And it's hard to compare the last team in the West to the second place team in the West. I understand that when I say that. You could poke the hole in this argument with that. But at the same time, what did the Timberwolves defense look last night against the defending champions?
Probably the best I've seen in a past decade. Unbelievable.
Dude, I'm still shook by it. I know this is a Spurs podcast, but as an NBA fan, I'm absolutely shook by what I saw last night. All credit to the Timberwolves, but what they did as a team, what Cat did on the interior, I mean, completely proved my thoughts on him wrong defensively. I knew he was obviously, it was better this year when you surround him with Ant and Rudy, and the team's chemistry overall, is just, it took a jump offensively and defensively in comparison to last season. But I mean, when you talk about what the Spurs looked like when you take Wemby off the floor,
right?
Very big difference. So that's why I kind of said it was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow for Spurs fans timing wise, because literally last night we saw that Minnesota can still by far be the best defensive team in the league, even with Rudy Gobert off the floor.
Yeah, Minnesota's out of this world, dude. It's surprising even me, and not to toot my own horn here because this is not related to Spurs at all. But right before the playoffs started, I was talking with my dad and a couple friends of mine, and they were like, "I don't think anyone can beat the Nuggets." And I'm like, "I don't." Minnesota is pretty good. They're I don't want to say they're going to win the finals, but if anyone's going to beat Denver, it's Minnesota, and they're up 2-0. So, knock on wood, I might have been a prophet there.
Ethan, I even probably my moment for the Timberwolves, just since we're talking about this, was just after game 1. I mean, I just need, because, I mean, you go into that series and Denver had won 14 of their last 16.
Right.
And obviously Minnesota looked great in the first round. They won by a sweep. But I had a lot of questions about the Suns.
Absolutely.
And me personally, I'm like, okay, the Lakers are a lot better than the Suns, just being, blunt. I know they were ranked higher in the seeding, but in the playoffs, y'all know what I'm talking about here. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, I mean, they have just really just ascended super
Mm-hmm.
quickly in their defense. And after game one, I was like, okay, they might really have a shot, not only to just beat the Nuggets. And I know it's just, you don't want to overreact to one game, but you saw what happened last night, even with Rudy out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of proving that thought process right. But I doubted him too until I saw game one. That's what I would say.
Hey man, they got Jaden McDaniels. That's all I needed to hear, and
And
I
my
knew
guy
it was
Nas Reed.
Nas Reed, Kyle Anderson, and Walker Alexander. Like they got a pretty good squad. And for the record, I didn't think that they were going to beat both of them this handedly or win both games this handedly. But I had a feeling it was going to be super competitive. But thus far, it's been completely one sided. So shout out to them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We could talk about that for forever, Ethan, but we are a Spurs show, so we're going to get a little
Right.
bit back on track. Want to give a shout out to Miles Page. He says he's watching from England. Says great show, watching from the start now. So
Mm,
we will see you later,
mm.
Miles. Whenever you get to this in the watch, you will see it. But shout out to you for being here. Also, our guy Victor, who is always in here, he says talk about the Fanatics video. Did you happen to catch this?
I don't think so.
I'm sending this to you. You need to go watch this. Like this is like a immediate like
Should I
after the
live
show.
react?
No, because we're on a little bit of a time crunch.
Right,
But
right. Smart. Okay.
later tonight you should. I'll send it to you. But basically, I mean, I don't want to spoil the whole thing for you. Man, this is in a tough position because I want to talk about it for the people, but it's so good
Is
that I
it
don't want to.
Spurs related?
It's Victor related. So here, I'll just give you. I'm going to spoil a little bit.
Okay, it's fine.
Basically, Fanatics made they made this whole like exhibit, I guess you could call it, and it was like it's hard to describe, but they bring Wemby in a room and they've got like messages from like all the other former rookie of the years. Well,
Mm,
all of the memorable ones.
mm.
Me and my friends were kind of making jokes
Michael Carter
about
Williams.
and Tyreek Evans and Mike Miller.
Tyreek.
Where were
Yeah.
they, anyways? But no, but and they're all talking to him, and they're like, "Hey, like it's really cool." I don't want to spoil exactly how it goes down, but
Hmm.
there's like some really cool aspects to it. Like he walks in, and it's like all of a sudden he's like hearing all these different stars like start having a conversation with him, and he's like, "What's going on?" Like he didn't even realize it. You can tell. I mean, it looks like he gets a little teary eyed in it too.
Mm.
You definitely need to check this out. This is like one of the best things that came out yesterday.
All right, I'll watch it.
I would talk more about it, Victor, but I don't want to spoil it for Ethan, and I think that you will totally get it. But he also says live react to it. We
Mm.
would do that, but we are on a little bit of a time crunch today, Victor. But next episode, we will guarantee that we will have a recap for that.
Right on.
And I think we kind of wrapped up all the Defensive Player of the Year conversation as well, Ethan. Any final thoughts there?
Nope.